check some stuff right now. Yeah, I'm making sure that we had some audio issues last time, and I got busted with a it was BS. I got busted with a copyright thing for music in the last episode, and yeah. So, anyways, uh, it's like 3 hours into the, maybe even 4 hours into the episode. Um, there were like a couple of notes that could be heard on my headphones, and I got the email about it like probably about an hour after the thing closed, and from those couple notes, they knew what song it was supposedly, which I find it to be complete BS. I don't buy it. Like I said before, I don't buy it whatsoever. I protested the decision, and I'm still kind of waiting for the powers that be to make their final decisions on that. But until then, we're still going to stream here, and if worse comes to worse, I'll just mute the audio. I didn't really have anything too important to say during the last episode, besides talking about line widths and stuff like that. So I have since spent time though trying to get the audio correct. Try to get rid of some of the white noise in the process too, because that was something else. Was that in addition to the a few notes that can be heard through my headphones, you could also hear throughout the entire video a lot of white noise, and it looks like I've gotten that kind of cleared up now. So I'm going to turn on my volume on the live stream just to hear. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so this is a final audio check, and then we'll get started here in a minute. Okay, I'm adjusting my microphone a little bit to try to get things equaled out a little bit better. Okay, I'm adjusting my microphone a little bit to try to get things equaled out a little bit better. Okay, this sounds good. It sounds like my audio is still coming in from the computer, though. Is that from the headphones? I'm hearing a little bit of feedback stuff from the headphones. That's strange, but okay. I think I have it. Nope, still too high. Testing 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I should have done this stuff before I went live. I apologize, folks. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think that settles everything with the noise coming from the headphones. Try getting Spotify started up before I find any unusual surprises with that, and then I'll go ahead and get the live stream shared with everybody on Facebook. I am in the market, by the way, for a co-host. So if anybody's interested in joining me on Pixel Art Live to help aid the conversation, that'd be fantastic. And as always, we have the live chat going. So if you want to leave a comment in the chat on YouTube, I should say, you are more than welcome to do that as well. All right. So this page of the coloring book will be our first page with Koreans on it, which means this will be our first page with me using Google Translate to try to translate things into Korean. There's a little bit of a lag between when I speak and when the it starts coming through in the video. It's probably about a 30-second lag, I think, maybe a little bit less than that. But I am monitoring comments in YouTube instead of on the video itself, so that lag should not be more than what it should be, I guess. So too much more than it should be, I suppose. I would like no lag at all, but so I'm doing now is I'm drawing an explosion. Actually, I'll get rid of this and I'll just draw my explosion the way I was going to draw it. And again, because this is a coloring book, the red lines are really just guidelines for myself. Okay. And I'm trying to create the illusion of debris kind of being shot out. So what happened here between the last episode and this one, or last episode, what happened in the last episode, which was page 1, was the plane that Lee was on has been destroyed. And this is the final explosion from that process. I was going to turn on Spotify, get some music going. Okay. Stand by. I'm just testing to make sure I don't have any audio issues with. Yeah, I'm still getting that feedback in my headphones. I'm not liking that at all. And my concern here is the copyright issue when I'm listening to music. I cannot do this without listening to music. I will drive myself absolutely crazy. Yeah, I'm still getting that headphone noise. That's bad. I'll turn it down. Okay, so I have. I could really use a producer too. Anybody knows any producers who want to take on a challenge like this? Because I'm sure people have nothing better to do with their time. Yeah, I'm still getting this audio feedback. Oh man. Hold on, I'm just trying to figure out how to stop the stupid noise. Okay, let's see. Okay, that did not work whatsoever. Oh crap! What the hell? Sorry, folks. I'm trying to get my filters set up here on the audio. I thought I had this all figured out, and apparently I did not. Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. All right, I think I have this figured out now. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, folks. Hopefully that first few minutes of this doesn't screw up my copyright stuff again, because I don't want to deal with that. Yeah, again, I apologize. I thought I had that all figured out, and obviously, I did not. I hope that my weird choice in music is what saves me here. Okay, that should be enough to get started with some black lines. You'll see how this mess turns into an explosion here in a couple minutes or a few minutes. And again, I'm just drawing a, well, I shouldn't say a simple explosion. I'm just drawing a exploding airplane here. And I apologize for not having more to say, but I didn't really, I don't really plan to show out as well as I probably should. My one rule for this is to try to avoid talking about politics, and um, stuck by that pretty well, I think, for the run of the show so far. So I'm quite pleased with myself for that. If you're a fan of pixel art, for anybody who's watching, I um, recommend that you follow my YouTube channel or subscribe to my YouTube channel, whatever the terminology is for that. So I plan on doing this show every week on Monday night from 7 to 11. The date might change some in the future, but I don't have any plans for that at the moment. I'm probably doing this the wrong way now that I think about this. Oh well. Yeah, I did this kind of the wrong way here. Oh well. That's okay. As Bob Ross would say, they're just happy little accidents. Yeah, because all this is going to be lost here when I do the second circle. Ah, that was all stupid. Yeah, I shouldn't have done any of that. Oh well. Happy little accidents, right? Okay, this time I'm not going to erase the red lines inside of here. That was a mistake last time. I needed the red lines to follow these curves for the exploding debris, and I failed to recall that as I was erasing all the red lines. But happy little accidents, right? Happy little accidents. I don't know why. I feel this need to erase these red lines, and I need to. Oh crap! I need to not do that yet. Okay, what I can do is I can. All right, I can erase the black lines though, or the ones I don't need. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, that should hopefully do it. Oh, I have a missing one someplace. Where is that at? Is this one? Pose. Okay, let's try this one more time. Oh, where is it? Oh, it's the outside lines. Crud. Yeah, there's not going to be an easy way to do this. Yeah, oh, man. Okay, I'm just going to start erasing black lines. And so the stream coming out of the back of the explosion over here is from the airplane um, being on fire before it explodes. If you're curious and you haven't been following these videos very long, this is for my comic book series, the MSPaint Comic, which I also draw on MSPaint. And the coloring book takes place after the first volume. If you're interested in picking that up, it is available on my website at www.ktracy.com, ktracy.com. It's probably coming up every now and then at the bottom there. All right, I'm pressing Control and Plus to make the size of the eraser bigger. And this also works for the paintbrush tools, and does not work for the pencil tool. Works for the paintbrush tools though. And it works with the line tools as well to make the lines thicker. Which I will use on occasion to help me out. Yeah, I don't want to erase that far. Yeah, so the inside ones, where are those connected to now? Somewhat confused right now by where it's getting hung up at. Okay, well, wherever it was, I fixed it, so that's good. If you have any questions, too, about what I'm doing, feel free to ask in the chat on YouTube. I didn't really prepare anything for a show whenever I do one, so I promise you won't be interrupting me. In fact, you'd probably be helping me out here some because I feel awkward just sitting here while I have people watching me without having anything to say to them. I feel awkward every week, but I still do the show anyways because it's fun. And occasionally somebody does have something to ask me or some sort of comment of praise or it's not really hasn't been really too much criticism. I can't say that, but I welcome criticism too. That's how I get better. You see me doing something that there's a better way to do it, let me know because this process of making this art takes a very long time, and anything I can do to speed up the process would be very much welcome. Oh, hey Vinny, I'm making a OMG boy gaming. I'm making a airplane explosion right now, so I'm continuing the previous page of the coloring book, in which I'm opening it up here now. So the airplane just got hit by a missile here, and the plane is about to blow up. So on this page, I'm drawing the plane actually blowing up. So this is the smoke from the plane as the engine's on fire, and then it kind of goes into the area where it blows up and goes kaboom, and there's a series of smaller explosions, or larger explosions, I should say. So 1, 2, and 3, and then there's going to be debris shooting out of these 3 different stages all along the path. So that's what I'm drawing right now. Yeah, and if you're watching, go ahead and OMG Boy Gaming is a friend of mine. He does live video game um, videos here on YouTube, and well worth subscribing to as well. So gotta always give a shout out to our fellow creators. So we gotta stick together. And then later on, when I'm getting closer to finish with this page, I'll go back in and I'll sharpen up these edges some. So these are flames coming out, but this doesn't look like a flame too much, but it looks a lot better when I add that little pixel in at the end there, maybe in this case 2 pixels, to kind of add some sharpness to the flames. But I'll go back in and I'll do all those later on in the process. Right now I just want to get the basic line work in. And the trick here to create the illusion of forward movement, or at least movement towards the user, is this line right here. So right now, what's happening is that this looks like it's coming out a little bit more in front, in the front of the explosion, coming at you just a little bit, in addition to going to the left side. And to change or reverse that, I would do the other. I would go the other way, where I would have it like um, this. And there's 2 things going on here. So one, the bigger bumps are on the side most recent, or where it's going to. In this case, the front. So the front always has the bigger ones, and then then I have this tail thing over here too that kind of comes out and shows you that this is in front of this one, and this one is in front of this one. So you have overlapping objects, and the one that looks like it's in front is the one that appears to be in, or has the lines in front of the other ones, I guess. So I was saying that, like I was saying something profound, and then I realized it's pretty much common sense. So I apologize if I sounded like I was patronizing you folks. Did not mean to do that. Oh, okay. So, Sammy, what I'm doing here in is this is Paint XP. If you go, there's a few places. Back when Windows XP was around, this was the standard version of Microsoft Paint that they had. Windows Paint is just, the continuation of that. Windows Paint has more features than this has, but they're not laid out as well. So I like this one because of its simplicity. But you can do more things with Windows Paint. If you want a copy of this one, I would recommend going to, I think it's not Paint.net. That's another program. Let me hold on one second. I'll tell you where I get this from right now. I've downloaded this program. I have the installer on a USB drive because if this website ever goes down, I will not have access to this program for future computers that I have. I think it is. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the website is called mspaintxp.com. I'm going to share that in the comments section for everybody so everybody can see that. I knew what I was doing here. There we go. All right, I'm going to put that in the chat session. So that website right there is where I get the XP version of Microsoft Paint. When you install that, be careful because there are some additional software in there. I think currently it's bundled with Hulu TV or something. Just make sure you do a custom install on that when you have the option to do a standard or I guess standard install versus the custom. Do the custom one, and you can tell it not to install the Hulu TV thing. It's just some stupid software they try to package with the software or with the program to make money, but you don't need that. All you need is the core program, and that's pretty straightforward and installs very quickly. It's a small program. It does download very quickly. Even the installer does. So if you do end up installing Paint XP, or if you just decide to start doing pixel art, though, Sammy, I'd be very curious to see it. So feel free to share that with me. My email address is kevintracy@ktracy.com, or you can just show me whenever you see me. So if you are who I think you are, if you're not that Sammy, then or I know three Sam slash Sammys. So four. I know four of them. So if you're one of them, feel free to show me if you do it. If not, then still send me an email, and I'd still be curious to see it because I always love seeing other people's pixel art. And Actually, I had a conversation. I'm bringing this up because your username is Sammy Lego Guy. I had a conversation with somebody at a comic convention earlier this year about the comparison of pixel art and Legos, and there are a lot of similarities there because you have to be. I mean, just like with, and maybe even more so with Legos, you're building everything block by block, quite literally block by block. If you think of those blocks like, you know, three-dimensional pixels, you're pretty much doing the same thing. So if you're good at Legos, you'll be, I think, very good at pixel art. And the one thing I would encourage you, if you're getting started with this, though, is to very early on learn how to master this curve tool. If you're going to do, if you're just doing isometric stuff, you probably don't need it too bad. Um, but I have, everything that I do, almost everything I do is using this curve tool in one way or another. It's just a, um, words cannot describe the value of this curve tool. And I've said it in previous videos. I don't really know how it works that well. I just have a really good feel for it. And I know it's something along the lines of like, so I have a line, let's say, and I think that it grabs at the, there's two different grab points. And I think the first one is a quarter or is a third of the way in, and the second one is two-thirds of the way in. And it's weird though because it like I've clicked. I don't know. I don't know how it figures out where this point is because it just kind of here it looks like I'm grabbing kind of in the middle, and here it looks like I'm grabbing at the ends. I don't know how this works exactly. Yeah. I'm sure someplace out there there's a Microsoft engineer who designed this thing back in the 1980s who could tell us exactly how this thing works, but it is one of the biggest complaints of people who are trying to get into this. And in other software versions, the curve tool, like Paint.net and some of the other tools that are out there, they have like I think usually 4 or 5 handles on the curve. You grab the handle and you move it, and that's how you adjust the line. And if you find this curve tool just be too infuriating, try Paint.net. That is a great piece of software too. I have used it in the past. I do like it, in part because there's layers in that program. That program takes a lot of the things that people don't like about MS Paint, and they go in and they try to fix that as much as they can. And some things like layers are just things that I would love to have layers in Microsoft Paint, and obviously that'll never happen because Microsoft's killed off Paint. So Sam, I just saw that your message was retracted. It's held for review. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and show your video here. Because what the heck, why not? I'll take a look at this later on, Sammy, because obviously I don't want to watch it now, but hold on, I can watch it now. Why not? Sammy, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to actually, go ahead and Sammy, let me know if I have your permission to play this video um, on the side of my monitor here, so you can see it's gonna be like a side by side while I draw. I'll have your video going too. Just give me like a verbal okay on that, and I will get that going. It's your copyright, so I want to make sure that I have your permission to do that. I don't want to just play it and then find out later on that you're okay. Cool, thank you. Oh, you got ads going too. Okay, that's loud. This is Sammy's video here on the right. A Sammy Lego guy. Yeah, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to adjust um, the effect of where this is coming out at. So I'm just trying to bring this over a little bit. I'm watching this video, Sammy. There's some stuff in here that I didn't realize could be done in Paint.net. This is pretty impressive. Yeah, Sam, I just realized this was not your video. I just saw your comment up there. I have to. I'm gonna stop playing that just because I don't want to get in trouble with copyrights or anything like that. Yeah, Paint.net is a really it's a really impressive piece of software, and they keep it updated too. If I ever have a hard time getting Paint to work in future versions of Windows, I will probably end up switching over to Paint.net. Just because of that, there's a lot of things I really like about Paint.net, and the things I didn't like. That guy was doing things that I didn't realize are features in there, so that's even cooler. Yeah, and if anybody's curious, I'm gonna pull up the website address for Paint.net here. I don't think it's actually Paint.net. Yeah, get Paint.net. That's what it is. I'm gonna share that website address in here with everybody too, so you can see that if you're interested in what that software can do and do more research in it than I have. Um, but yeah, it's for pixel art. It is absolutely fantastic, and I suspect that I've committed to doing this in Microsoft Paint just because I need my comic book via MSPaint Comic. So I'm kind of locked into doing MS Paint, but um, and I do really like the simplicity of the software too. Um, Plus, I've been using it. I mean, I've literally been using this since Windows XP came out. So you're looking at what 20? Oh my God, it's been that long? No, no, it's been 20 years since Windows 98 came out. So 21 years, I think. XP, I think, came out in like 90. Was it 90? No, it had been 2000 it came out. So just about, um, wow, 18 years I've been doing this in Paint. Um, wow, I didn't realize it's been that long. Yeah, Paint.net is nice because it has the yeah, Paint.net is nice because it has the what I really like about it are the layers. I mean that ultimately to me is the one thing that it has that Microsoft Paint does not, that caused me to switch over. But for people who are just learning to do pixel art or are kind of new to the software, the curve tool works, I think, a lot better for those people. Although I prefer the curve tool in Paint because I'm just so much, I have so much more experience with it. But I think it produces the curve tool in Paint produces a smoother line. Personally, I think, and it's more consistent with how it applies the line throughout the curve of the line. Um, that's the other thing about Paint.net I did not like was kind of what the curve tool looks like, I guess, when it's being used. Although the application of it is still much better than, or the ease of use is better than in Microsoft Paint, but the end result for a good line, I think, is better in Paint. Is better in Paint, yeah. Thank you, Summer. Yeah, Summer. If you have any questions too, I've been encouraging everybody to leave comments and chat and stuff. And yeah, and I do this show every Monday night. So if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, feel free to do that. And if you do miss, you'll still be able to miss a show. You'll still be able to find the archive of it. And this is technically my 10th episode, but this is my second episode on YouTube right now. The previous 8 episodes before the last episode had been done on Facebook Live. So I made the switch over to YouTube because I figured, there's more people on YouTube to see it. So if you're curious to see my other pixel art too, it's available on ktracy.com. I do comic conventions for the MSPaint Comic book, so um, yeah, that's on there. Oh, thank you, Summer, for subscribing. Yeah, the addition of layers in Paint.net, going back to that, it's nice, but if you don't mind a little extra work, you can get the same effect in Paint. I just use, and I don't think I'll have time to get to a background in this one, but I do use different files as different layers in Paint, so that's how I kind of get around the lack of layers thing. I just, use multiple layers, and I use this, I call it the ugly ass pink color, this one right here, and that is as my transparency color. So whenever I have multiple files and I want to make want to make them into layers essentially, I use that ugly ass pink color as a transparency color, and then I just copy everything in with that as the transparency, and then get the effect that way. And I apologize for swearing on my YouTube live channel. I shouldn't do that, but being in the military, your ability to not swear kind of goes away. So, oh wow, thank you. Yeah, OMG Boy Gaming's a great dude. I think I want that line on there. All right. Hi, Lily. Yeah, I apologize if I don't say hi right away. Thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't keep an eye on the comments and draw at the same time, so I try to make it a point to look up every now and then to see if there's any new comments coming in. So if I don't reply right away, it's not because I'm ignoring you or anything like that. All right, Sammy, thank you. Yeah, I need every subscriber I can get, guys. So if you guys know anybody else who might be interested in subscribing, let them know, please, because I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, Paint.net is really cool software. I have to say. There's a few things I don't like about how it draws lines. That I think would probably prevent me from wanting to use it on a full time basis if I had the choice to. Um, I think it's designed to work with anti-aliasing turned on, and I think that's kind of where it starts to fall apart at from a programming standpoint. Thank you again, Sammy or Lily, whichever one this is. Yeah, I know Jan subscribes to my channel too, so you guys are in good company. Because actually, I was at her house when she subscribed to my channel. That's how I know that. Oh yeah, not a problem, dude. Yeah, yeah, I should be talking more. Well, which comic did you guys get at the comic convention? Was it the full color one or was it the coloring book? Mia's meh. Well, Mia's great, so I'm sorry you are meh. You guys got the coloring book? Okay. Yeah, so this book I'm drawing now is the sequel to the coloring book. Did you guys color any of the pages of the book or no? Yeah, Sammy, if you end up doing anything for Paint.net, let me know because I'd be very. I always, like I said, I always like seeing other people's artwork, and um, if you end up doing something in there, let me know, and I'd like to see it. If you don't send it to me, you can send it to Jan too, and then I'll see it from her. Okay. I think I changed my mind about this a little bit. I'm going to move this up a little bit further. Oh, that's interesting. I see what happened though. Yeah, Sammy, now that I'm thinking about it, this is the previous print that I had done. Um, so this is a little bit different from what I'm doing now in the coloring book. Where are my prints? There we go. Yeah, I'll use this one. Yeah, so this is my previous print that I just did a little bit ago. This was 2 weeks ago. I finished this one up, and this is the end of the Facebook episodes. So this is usually what I do on the show is a print more of this nature. It's just that I have to get this coloring book done sometime in January, and so the only way I'm going to be able to do that is if I focus my all of my efforts now on this coloring book for the next, I think, 5 or 6 weeks. That should get me done sometime in mid-January. Realistically, probably be the end of January just because of the holidays and stuff. So, um, but yeah, then I'll be back to doing this kind of stuff again, probably after that. So. And then at some point, I'll probably have to switch back over and start working on the second volume of the MSPaint comic. But I'm trying to build up the number of prints that I have because when you do the comic conventions like I do, these prints sell really well. And if you're trying to make money, which I am, um, having prints really kind of helps. Okay, yeah, the painting North Korea red. That is that's the first coloring book that I made. That's the only coloring book I've made so far. This is going to be the second coloring book that I've made. And this will be the conclusion of that book too. So when that um, when you eventually get this book, you'll see the end of the story, I guess, for the heroes of that story going to North Korea. Well, one thing to keep in mind is that the book's not ready yet. So wait for the book to be done first before you guys say you're going to go get it now. But yeah, this book will be ready probably in February sometime because I think I have my first comic convention in February. A Nightmare Tattletale. I don't think I know what that is. I know what a tattletale is, but I don't think I'm thinking it's something different. So if you guys are interested in recording, I've started using software called OBS Studio. and it's free software that anybody can download. It seems to be pretty light on system resources. I had been using XSplit Broadcast before this, and it was okay. But I switched over to this because it's open source, and I just prefer open source software. And um, yeah, it's been I really like this new software that I'm using, OBS Studio. I'll throw a link in the description for that too. It's probably up here. Yeah, it's obsproject.com, and I'm going to put a link into that in the chat right now. Oh, it doesn't. That's too bad. Um, what kind of computer do you have, Sammy? Oh, yeah, not having a graphics card is going to hold you back. Yeah. Yeah, I just upgraded my graphics card. I think it was last year I upgraded it to a GTX 1080. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else you could do. Yeah, that was a Ghostbusters print earlier. Yeah, actually, it was a Ghostbusters print, but in the background of the print, I think I still have it open. Yeah, in the background of the print is the stained glass window and the mansion from The Seventh Guest, and that was before your guys' time, I think. But that game came out in 1992, 1993, in that time frame. It was the first real game on CD-ROM, and as a result of this game, CD-ROM became like the standard means of sharing information and distributing information. Before that, you had these little floppy disks, and I was going to pull one up to show you guys, but I don't have them anymore. But they are essentially it's the save icon, the 3.5 inch floppy disk, and um, Yeah, the CD replaced that, and that's kind of the legacy of the Seventh Guest, and that's why I wanted to include it in the Ghostbusters print. I don't know if anybody's going to recognize the background or not. Everybody who had a computer in the early 1990s, probably from 92 to 94, had probably gotten this game at some point or another. And they have probably seen this window. It's just a question of whether they remember it from 24 years ago. Oops, I just closed out of my own chat window. Did not mean to do that. Give me a second here to go back into that. I was trying to close out of my windows to clean up my desktop a bit, and I messed up somewhat. And I do appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel. That means a lot to me. So thank you again for subscribing. Okay, I'm back. Just had to get that video back up so I can see your chat messages. Um, that's a good question. I know Jan wants to have you guys over for uh your Christmas break. So I don't know when exactly that's going to be. But she wants to, I know she wants to have you guys over at some point during that time. So, and then Krista and I will come over too, I'm sure, when you guys stop over. I also know Jan's planning a big Christmas party too, though. So I don't know. It might be after. I don't know if it's gonna be after Christmas or before Christmas or what she has planned. But She's been talking about it though, so she wants to see you guys. Hey, well, I'm talking to you guys. How's Erin doing? I know she broke her arms, and I haven't seen her since that happened. Is she getting better at least? That's good. Yeah, I broke my arm and my leg when I was about her age, but I did it two different times. So I had a cast on my leg for the entire spring and part of the summer, and then I had a cast on my arm for part of summer and all of spring. And I at least I had the other arm, but I can't imagine. Yeah, Aaron has it worse though, without a doubt, because I mean, you need. I at least had one arm I could use, and I still had one leg to stand on. So, so what are you guys looking for Christmas this year? I assume you guys have been good and on Santa's good list. Legos, cool. What kind of graphics card are you looking for this year? And you guys are both really lucky, by the way, too. When I was a kid, I had to share a computer with my dad and my sister and my mom. The 1050, yeah, that's a good one too. Actually, Summer, I don't know what that means. What does the OFF mean, or off, or oof, or whatever? What is that? Because I'm sitting here kind of scratching my head, wondering like, what the heck are these guys doing? I'm not hip, as they would say. Oh, okay. I've never played Roblox, so I don't know. I didn't know that. Yeah, I've been playing. I've been playing Destiny 2. on my PlayStation, and I just recently switched over to Homefront Revolution, and then I'll be I think probably after I beat this game, this Homefront Revolution game, I'm gonna try doing something, live streaming a show with Star Trek Online, um, kind of doing um, providing an episode comment, kind of like a Deadpool meets Star Trek type thing, and try to break the fourth wall, I guess is what they would say, but uh, voice the character for that game. I've only played like about 2 hours of it at most. I haven't gotten very far into it, and I don't really know what the storyline of it is. So I think it'd be kind of a fun way to try streaming a game for a change and seeing how I like doing that. So what is Roblox, by the way? Because I don't think I've ever even seen that game. I've heard of it before, but I don't think I've ever seen the game, or at least I don't recall seeing the game. I figured it was probably an inside joke for the all of you guys. So I've never heard of it before. Several years ago, I played a game called Puzzle Pirates. It sounds like that, where it's you have your own character and you go around and you. The idea of the game was that you are a pirate and you attack other ships, and to keep the ship running smoothly, you have different puzzles you have to do. Yeah, OMG Boy Gaming is here. Why don't you explain what Roblox is? I just can't seem to get this line right. There we go. Good enough. What kind of simulators, Sammy, do you like to play? Like The Sims or SimCity or stuff like that, or are you thinking like Flight Simulator? And but I don't know if anybody has Flight Simulator anymore now that I say that. I think they still make it, but I don't think they market it towards consumers anymore, and that's since 9/11 happened. Okay, I think I've heard of none of those games. Yeah, one of the so I've been focusing almost entirely on my artwork and woodworking stuff now for a year, almost a year now, and this has become my full time job. And one of the downsides of that is that I haven't had a chance to. Oh, that's Roblox. That's where I've heard of it. Kendra has that. My niece. Okay, yeah, she plays that a lot, and that's where. Okay, I understand. I know where I've heard that now. That I feel better about that. Anyways, I was saying that now that I'm doing my this is my now my full time job. I haven't had time to play video games like I used to before, and I've been missing it because it's just a good way to kind of relieve stress for me, and so that's kind of why I wanted to try doing a live stream of Star Trek Online because it kind of forced me to start playing games again on a more regular basis, and by more regular basis I mean once a week instead of once a month like I've been doing now. So I have this huge backlog of PlayStation games that I've never played, and I feel bad because a lot of those games I've asked for Christmas and stuff, and I got them, and I just never got around to playing the things. So one of the games we wanted to get back into too is No Man's Sky. I started playing that a couple of years ago when it first came out, and it wasn't quite a finished game yet, and they've since improved it dramatically since the last time I've played. I wanted to get back into it because I enjoyed it when I first got it too, and I just I stopped playing because this became a full time job, and I kind of knew this transition was happening, so I kind of dropped it. I never picked it back up again, and I've been wanting to do that because I had a lot of fun with that game before, and it supposedly have made it even better. So I've played Fortnite a few times. Fortnite is kind of my game to go to when I'm installing another game on my PlayStation. Because yeah, it drives me crazy. Like when I was a kid, when you played a video game, you got a video game, you put it in the system and you played the video game. And now I buy a video game and I put it in the system and I have to wait 2 hours for the game to download, download all of its updates. And it's like, I want to play my video game and I can't do it for 2 hours. And so Fortnite's become my well, what am I going to do for 2 hours game? And for as often as I get I try playing a new game. Um, it's okay. I like it. It's a good time killer for me. I guess is probably the best way I look at that. I hear Porthos running around in the background, which means Krista's probably home. She is. I hear her now. Hello. Hey, bud. Yeah. What's up? Hi. What was that? Coloring book. Yeah, page 3. Okay. Chris is going to be watching here shortly, so. Yeah, Vinny, I can't. Okay, so here's the thing. I wanted to create my own account with that, and because we logged in with your account, I cannot get you off my PlayStation now because it is, for Fortnite at least, that is your account that's tied to it. So I think the reason why is because, like, if you're cheating or abusing the game or something, they want to be able to kick somebody off. And so if you got a PlayStation, I don't think you would be able to play Fortnite on the PlayStation because you've tied it to my account on my PlayStation. So, um, thankfully, you don't have a PlayStation, so it's not an issue. But yeah, so occasionally I will when I do play under your account, and I apologize if that's caused any issues for you because I'm not very good at it. But hey, Krista, would you give me a drink, please? Thank you. Yeah, I figure, it seems like it's mostly based on accomplishments. So I figure at the very least I am probably helping you meet some accomplishments. Like I don't know, like what, but for like the 5 or 6 times I've actually killed somebody in that game, maybe. But so I apologize in advance. I have like this sneezer in my nose, and I have to sneeze, and I can't seem to sneeze right now. So at some point, when you're least expecting it, I'm going to sneeze really loud into this microphone, and all of you are going to be deaf for probably about a week. And I apologize if you guys get tinnitus. I am not responsible for that, or I'm not responsible legally for that. So I've warned you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I got Overwatch too, and it seems almost like Overwatch in a way, except for the fact that there's more players in the game. Yeah, I'm really not liking this offshoot over here. I feel like this needs to come out this way instead. So we're going to modify this a bit from what I have now. Life is good. You know, it means a lot when you figure out what you want to do with your life and you're able to actually do it on a professional basis. It makes you a lot happier in life. So I've always, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be an artist, and um, I finally have my opportunity now to do that, and I'm just making the most of it and loving every moment of it. So yeah, life is great. How about you guys? How's life going for you kids? You guys doing okay in school and everything? All right, guys. Good night if your internet shuts off at 9. Oh, I know. I hated final exams too. Yeah, high school. I hated high school final exams because you have so many classes in high school. It's just it's so difficult to study for all of your classes. What I figured out though is the it's counterintuitive, but um, the easiest final exams to take are the ones for the most advanced courses you have. So if you keep on taking like the basic level of any course at all, really, the final exams are always harder because it's always memorize and repeat. But if you take a more like if you take like English, like basic English, it's really hard because it's just memorize and repeat type stuff. But if you take advanced English, it gets a lot easier because they want your opinion about different concepts of English, and it's a lot easier to give your opinion about something than it is to or give somebody else's opinion about something because it's not a memorize and repeat type thing; it's an understanding type thing, and that's something that I didn't realize when I was in high school, and I wish I had. So the more advanced courses you take, the easier the final exams are for them. Yeah, I didn't make that connection until I was in high school, and or until I was in college, I should say, and that was too late at that point. My my high school record had already been written at that point, and it was not good. Yeah, when you get to college, I mean, finals are still stressful, but they're a lot easier because you don't have as many classes as you do in high school. So when I was in high school, I don't know about you guys, I think we had usually about 6 or 7 classes that had a final exam to them. When you're in college, you have 4, depending on how you structure your college, how many classes you take. And it's a lot easier to study for and focus on 4 classes and 4 final exams than it is to focus on 5 to 7 classes and final exams for those. Yeah, hang in there, and it's high school goes by really fast when you look back on it later on. It feels like it takes forever now, but it goes by really fast. And try to find things to enjoy about it, and it'll go by a little bit faster, I think. Actually, Jan gave me the best advice when I was a kid. I remember. Well, I wasn't a kid. I was in high school at that point. I guess I was a young adult technically, but I hated high school when I was there, especially the first 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year. Couldn't stand it. I really despised it. And um, Jen told me it goes by a lot faster if you're part of extracurricular activities. I think she was in. I think she was in theater. I think she was in theater. I think I'm not 100% sure about that. You'll have to ask her. But she was. I think she was trying to get me into theater or something, and I wasn't having that. I didn't know I liked public speaking at the time, so I didn't do that. But eventually, I ended up getting into. We had an AutoCAD team there, which is like a drafting piece of software, and I joined that. I ended up joining our chess club. I ended up joining our what else did I join? Our speech and debate team and our student government, and it went by a lot faster after that. So, oh, and our Business Professionals of America team too. So, but yeah, that was the best advice she gave me in high school was to join the other stuff. I didn't believe her at first. I thought she was full of it, and she is very wise. I was listening to that story. Was listening to Jan. She knows what she's talking about. Just don't tell her I said that because she would like that too much. I don't know the way that came out. Well, it's part of our art team too. That's right. Our our art club. It wasn't really a team. It was an art club. I ended up getting really involved. I didn't mean to. Speech and debate was by far the most fun, though. Well, I take that back. I did the most with speech and debate, I would say. Business Professionals of America was the most fun. Well, it's part of our environmental club too. This, yeah. Wow, I was a preppy kid. Huh. Pretty sure that was it though. Yeah, I imagine there are more people who want to watch live streams of games than watching me drawing pixel art. But and we'll see. I'm gonna try that Star Trek game and see how that goes. I probably won't live stream that though. I'm gonna probably edit some of that down because with RPG games like that, you tend, I think, to do a lot of running around. I understood what you meant. Yeah, there are definitely a lot more viewers for that kind of a thing, I think, and this is kind of like an acquired taste where people have to know what pixel art is, and and this is kind of like the show itself is kind of meant to show people or give people a appreciation for what goes into it. That's one of the things I've noticed doing the comic conventions is that not a lot of people really know kind of what goes into making this a making my artwork, my artwork, and but yeah, it's a like I said earlier, if you don't love what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. So, and although other people may not appreciate the artwork, as long as some of them do, that's all that really matters to me. And I didn't mean to do that. This is getting almost too small to color in, so I have to be very careful with these flames back here. Yeah, I think live streaming is really kind of geared towards gamers more than probably anything else. Besides maybe news, like if you're live covering some sort of news event or something. Like earlier today, I was watching a live stream of SpaceX launching their rocket to the space station. But I don't think that's really new usage or new media. Really, that's kind of like old media. It's kind of opened it up to more people now. But the live streaming of video games is something that's pretty neat because for me, the reason I like to play video games is because I like to see the story of the game. And to me, the story is probably more important than the gameplay, even for my enjoyment of the game, which I know is rare. That's not common, but being a writer, I like story, and I like there being that kind of involvement in what people are creating, and they have that kind of I like there being something more to what they're doing, and some sort of message they're trying to send with that, and trying to decode and figure out what that is, and um, with live stream games, I'm able to. I don't do this that often, but I get a chance when I do watch it. There's a few channels that I watch. And when I do watch it, it gives me an idea of what games I want to play or not play going forward. Like one game I've really enjoyed watching played is Rust. That just seems like it's incredibly infuriating. I don't think I like playing the game even. However, it looks like it is a lot of fun to play, and seeing people get into that and stuff. It seems like I said, it seems incredibly infuriating to me. The way that people kind of treat each other in that game, but at the same, because it is a very toxic environment, and um, but I think that's part of the charm of the game is that toxic environment. So good night, Summer. Thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing today. Appreciate it. You know, I haven't gotten that to work yet, Vinny, with the new subscriptions. Um, I just, there's some way to set that up, and I just haven't set it up yet. And I think I downloaded the edition to do that with. If you end up coming out uh, during your Christmas break, maybe you can show me how to do that if you've done it on yours. Because yeah, I do have I have well, it's OBS Studio, but same thing, Streamlabs OBS. Um, it should work. I'm just not sure what I need to do to kind of get that hooked up right. But because I think there's a way that I can get this just to flash up here to say like new subscriber, and that would be really cool to get that to kind of pop up because I want to encourage more people to subscribe. And if I get some sort of cool graphic to happen when that happens, that'd be really neat. I might there might be a way to do that with if this then that. There might be a way to do it there. I'm not sure. I was kind of thinking this explosion would take me like 20 to 45 minutes to draw. And here I am, almost 2.5 hours into my broadcast, and I still haven't gotten to the fiery light show part of the explosion. It shouldn't be too much longer now, but I hope I do get more done than just this explosion during the show today. I was kind of worried actually that I wouldn't like I'd run out of stuff to draw after finishing this page, because I was worried it might take less than 4 hours to draw. But apparently I was wrong, so that won't be an issue tonight. Yeah, when you guys come out here, Vinny, I'll have you show me how to do that. Even though I'm doing this on my PC right now, but I have it on my laptop as well. So if you don't end up coming over here, I'll just bring my laptop over to Jan's and we'll sit down and do it there. It's good to know people who know what they're doing, like you. Yeah, one of the people I've really enjoyed watching on YouTube has been there's a guy called it's called Vertigo Gaming, and he's very foul mouthed. He's very funny to watch. The way he kind of makes it into a storytelling. That's why I like watching him do it. He kind of takes these games that don't really have a story to them, and he creates a story for them, and it makes it really entertaining to watch. And he has a very loud personality too, which is even funnier too. When he's not very good at gaming, which is the other fun thing about him too, is that he makes no there's no doubting that he's not good at it. But it's fun to see the kind of the reactions that he gets, or the reactions that he has to how other people treat him in these uh, kind of toxic, or I shouldn't say kind of, very, I should say very toxic games. I'm sure you've heard of him already though, because kind of your thing. And I hear Krista playing with Porthos in the background, um, with probably with the laser light. I'm guessing he's running back and forth down the hall. Oh, he's playing with his ball. Okay, I figured it was the laser light. I heard him kind of running around. Okay, so Porthos is playing with his ball, which makes it even more cute. It sounds like he just ran into the table. Or Krista threw the ball into the table, one of the two. I'm guessing it's probably the latter because she's pretty clumsy. Have a good night. Thank you again for getting everybody to watch today, Vinny. I do appreciate that. And if anybody watches this in the feed afterwards or is watching right now that I just don't see or has not commented yet, make sure you give OMG Boy Gaming a subscribe on YouTube because, like I said, we creators have to stick together and um, he's in the process of creating some pretty cool content and um, the more support he can get, the better that's going to be for what he's able to create. So thank you guys again for watching. I do appreciate it. Have a great night, and I'll probably end up seeing you guys sometime, hopefully before Christmas. If not, then maybe not long after Christmas. But okay, so now I want to do the experimental part, and I believe the way to do that is to put a red dot where I want the center of the explosion to be. Okay, I think the best way to do this is actually to do this with layers. So we're going to save this. We're going to do a save as. Take that back. Okay. So I call this 3A. And because I know paint's going to lock up if I don't get out and back in, I'm going to go ahead and get out and go back in. Wrong folder. There we are. Okay. I just realized I need to white this out too. Okay, we'll save this. I'll go back to 3. Thought I saved that with the transparency there, but apparently I did not, but that is okay. We'll put those colors back in there. And we want this all to be transparent as well. Select all, Control C, and this is how we use layers in Microsoft Paint. I go over to 3A, Control V. Ugly as pink is transparent. Okay. Yeah, this is the best way to do it. A lot easier than what I was originally thinking of doing, which is just drawing all the lines and then erasing everything in between. Having to get out because I don't have layers is kind of a pain. It's kind of where Paint.net would come in handy, like Sammy was saying, but yeah, I can work around it. Okay. Erase the red line. And now we'll do the red line for this one, which it would be probably right about here. Make a bigger dot for that. There we go. All right. And I'll do the same thing with the transparency. Ugly ass pink color. I have to go in here and fix this. On some of those pixels that would be impossible to color in. And then we will add a lot of them in there. How did I get that many? Thought I was paying attention. Apparently I wasn't. As I see these, I have to make it a point to color them in because I don't like them being in the coloring books. It's just too hard to color those things in for people. And I feel like if they see that, they'll feel like they're forced to color that in. And really, there's not a good way to do that because it's way too small, smaller than the tip of a pencil would be. Did not want to do that. Or that. Okay, that looks good. We'll do a file save. Save as, we'll call this one 3B. Oop, I forgot to do that one too. I'm gonna lock up here in a minute. I'm just gonna get out of here and for some reason paint is locking up on me whenever I do a save as, so to get around that I am just getting out of paint before it does lock up because that'll just slow everything down more than if I try to run with it. And it's happening more often than not, so I'm comfortable just closing out of it and thinking I'm not going to waste that much time if it didn't work. So you saw how long it took to get back into paint, not very long. So and I did want to get these apparently. Oops. All right. Okay, I just say this 3A because I realized I wanted to draw on 3B and I wanted to bring this transparency in. So and we'll do the same exact thing we just did before. This one I'll probably end up going in and trimming these down a little bit so that they're not coming out of the behind this cloud right here. They're coming out someplace in here. Just to add a little bit more depth to the illusion of this explosion. I don't know why I'm doing this, actually. I just realized I want to color everything here pink again so I can draw over it yet again a second time. Yeah, stop doing this, but I can't help it because I'm just in a mood right now where I have to fill things in. So I'm going to keep on filling these things in even though it's a waste of time and I shouldn't be doing it. I'm actually spending more time having to do this a second time, but whatever, it doesn't matter because it's my show and I'll do what I want. Okay. This is why we save 3A as the transparency. Control A, Control C, Control V. That didn't work right. There we go. I was scrolled up a little bit. Glad I caught that. Oops, sorry, I moved this microphone down, and now it's constantly in the way of my left hand. In hindsight, I think it'd be better if my microphone was on the right side rather than the left side. I think I'm gonna try to work this um the end point of this ray into this thing's cloud coming out of it. Not sure how that's gonna work just yet, but okay, that looks like it's pretty much done. Aha, knew it wasn't done. Okay, now for the last part of this, we'll save this. And we'll put that final explosion right here. Okay, for this one, there's not really a need to make anything transparent because it should all be right up on front. So that's fine. So we'll do a save as on this. Save it as 3C. I'll get out, back in. Actually, I didn't need to save that as a transparency either because by rights, I'm just going to have to go ahead and erase all the lines in this one anyways. So that was an unnecessary step that I took, but that is okay. Life is full of unnecessary steps. Now you can see why I didn't want to do this for all three of the layers. I didn't want to do that. All right. I have just gotten really tired, and I'm having a really hard time keeping my eyes open. It's a really bad time for this to hit. If I fall over and fall asleep on the desk in front of you, I apologize. It's going to be a very boring end of the video. All right. Ah, ah. Very professional, I know. I apologize. All right. That is one explosion. Oh, man. 3 hours to do that explosion. Not bad. A little more than 3 hours. No, about 3 hours. I think I talked for a little bit when I first started. Okay. Less onomatopoeia up here later on when we're doing that at the end of the comic. So, like I said at the last week, all the onomatopoeia and I think the sky backgrounds are going to be done all at the very end, or at least towards the very end, so that I only have there's only one style really at play. As I said before, like during the MSPaint Comic Volume 1, when I was finishing that one up, um, I had been doing the backgrounds as I worked. So I wanted to complete each and every page one at a time. And what ended up happening was that at the very end, there's probably about a 30-page sequence between when Kevin and Beth leave Beale Air Force Base and when the comic ends up in Idaho someplace. Um, there is there's about 30 pages there, which it took me about a year to draw all those pages. And I realized that the backgrounds at the beginning of that year, when they're in the mountains in California, look nothing at all, even remotely like the backgrounds that we had in Idaho. And it's the same kind of mountains, which made no sense whatsoever that they were drawn so differently. So I decided from there on out, I decided that I would just draw all the backgrounds all at the same time in order to keep consistency with the style of the comic throughout the entire story. And I think that's important for the way that these things look. Plus, I've noticed that the later I do something, the better it looks, just because I'm always improving. And so when I do the backgrounds at the very end, it's going to be the very best backgrounds I can make because it's going to be at the very end of the story. Um, you would think that I'd want the foregrounds to look better, but I mean, I have a standard for how I draw the foregrounds and the characters and stuff. And so they're not changing all that much, and they really haven't changed that much over the course of really the 5 years or what 6 7 years now. I've been 8 years. Wow, I've been drawing the MS Paint comic as a comic book, and even really then the 2 or 3 years before that, I was drawing the web comic. The characters have not changed all that much, so I'm pretty confident that I can keep on drawing them the same throughout the entire series. It's just those backgrounds that change a lot more. And in order to get them looking consistent, I have to draw them all at the same time. And I choose to do that at the end because I can't draw a background without knowing what's in the foreground. I can't say I can't. I don't like to because there's a lot of wasted stuff that I do. If I drew this background here on this frame, before I do the foreground, I would have drawn background stuff out here someplace, and it all would have been lost behind the smoke of the explosion. So that's why I've decided not to. Why I decided to do backgrounds last, and why then have to be at the end of the comics. So I apologize. You probably won't see a background for this one until the book comes out. But to be fair, there's probably not going to be that much going on in the background. Anyways, if anything, I might actually just leave this one blank because there's a lot going on here. In addition to the automatopoeia that's going to be plastered right across the face here. So, but we'll come to that later on. Okay, so now, what I promised you at the beginning of the episode, the Korean. And so for this, I'm just going to go up to translate.google.com. And I'm going to go from English. Why do I not see English? Oh, there we have to scroll down for it. That's why. And English into Korean. Okay, now the key with Google Translate is to know that this is probably not correct. So I want to see more. How did they do this? They've changed it actually since the last time I've done this. Yeah, so here is we've destroyed the target. We destroyed the target. Here is we destroyed the goal. So actually this one was correct. But now, because we don't trust this translation, we're going to copy it here and translate it back into English, and it still says we destroyed the target. So, so that's the verification process for verifying that this is actually what that says. So, copy that. I'm using size 22 font on here by default, bold and not italicized. Actually, I think for Korean, I went with a size bigger than that, maybe 2 sizes, because the characters are more complex. You want to be able to see all those details in there. Why did that shrink in size? Why is that shrinking when it's into 28? That's weird. Okay, that's fine. We'll still see it in more detail this way. Whatever. So, a funny story. My niece has the coloring book. She is the first coloring book. She is 9 years old, and she asked me, not the last time I saw her, but the time before that. So why are all the people speaking that language? And I'm like, what language? And she says the language that as a Korean. She says, yeah, why are they speaking Korean? I was like, because they're Korean, but nobody can read that. Well, the correct tell her, well, the Koreans can. She kind of gives me this look like, oh, I never thought of that. Okay, before I do that, let's copy this. We'll save our work just in case the unmentionable should happen. So there's software. I should have mentioned this when I was talking to Sammy earlier. There's software called um, Clip Studio Paint. Clip Studio Paint, I think it is. I think that's what it is. It used to be Manga Studio, and then they realized that most Americans don't know what that is, and they have this idea of, or they have this idea of what it is, and it was more limited than what the software could do. So they rebranded it in America and called it Clip Studio Paint, and it makes a lot of things a lot easier. Um, a lot of things a lot easier. I have the software actually on my Christmas list because I think it, although I wouldn't probably use it for the MS Paint comic because I think it anti-alias all everything that I need to have pixelated. What it does essentially is it makes the creation of the speech bubbles and these exclamation bubbles and the frames and everything else a lot easier. But that's, it's not meant for people like me who draw in paint and want a pixelated effect. For at least I don't think it is. I've never seen it done, but not many people do what I do. I probably would never use that for the MS Paint comic, in part because I want the MS Paint comic to be drawn in MS Paint. But there's a lot of things that I spend time on, like this bubble right here, that quite frankly, I'm one of the few comic artists who do it because um, there's no point in doing it really anymore because there's software that does it for you. And I'm just too stubborn to use that software, I guess. But at some point, I'm going to start working on comics that are not the MS Paint comic. And I think that would be very nice to have to kind of speed things along a little bit, especially when I'm not committed to using Microsoft Paint. Where's that pixel there? That's strange. But I have some cool ideas for stories I want to tell, and I think I'm going to tell them probably after I finish up Volume 2. Um, I'm undecided. I might do one of them before I finish Volume 2, just to kind of see if I can get a more recognition for that one, and then hopefully give more. And then hopefully when Volume 2 comes out, people will be more interested in my artwork then because of something else that I've done. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that yet. Um, I see both sides of this of that argument for doing it both ways, and yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure. I have more stories to tell though. That's for certain. Besides just the MSPaint comic, and I'm getting anxious to tell them, and I have to tell them before I finish the MSPaint comic because there's just going to be too many by the time I finish all 5 volumes of this comic book. So yeah, so I spent like 2 3 minutes drawing just this bubble around here, and there's software that does that automatically in less than a second, and that's the stuff that kind of gets on my nerves a little bit when I'm doing things in Paint, and I'd like to do it in something else maybe. That's the kind of stuff that makes me think about maybe there is something better I could use. Ugh, I hate when that happens. Ow. Yeah, it's just little stuff like that that really kind of grinds my gears with paint. I know there's much better software out there for kind of handling this kind of stuff, and it's more accurate and it's sharper, and everything that paint isn't for out of the box with the stuff that you have to do manually pixel by pixel, and that is the brutal stuff of the software. And the software is not very forgiving with undos and going back in and changing things you've already drawn. Um, but you get used to that. It's the little things like adding those little pixels that make these lines sharp where they meet. That just eats up so much time that you don't need to spend if you use other software, and that's kind of the brutal thing with drawing in Paint, I guess. So I'm going to open up a previous page from the previous comic. I just want to make sure I'm drawing the Koreans consistently since this is the first time I'm drawing them in this book. Yeah. Well, for starters, you need a two thick line, 2 pixel thick line. I really don't like that mouth. We'll erase that and we'll try something different. So one of the cool things about the comic that I do, listen, I think they're cool. I think it's cool. Is I draw the eyes of characters based on the style of animation that is, native is to their native country, I guess. So like, or not native country, but uh, the ethnicity of the character is based on the ethnicity's animation style, usually based on country. So like um, Asian characters have more anime manga style eyes than normal American characters do. And you'll notice there's a few Indian characters in the MSPaint comic, although there aren't any Asians that don't have glasses. But there's a few Indian characters, and they have their own different kind of eyes as well, based on Indian animations. So, gosh, I'm not digging this mouth. I might lose the teeth. We'll see. No, we'll keep them. That kind of works. I apologize if I've not been keeping an eye on comments, although I don't think anything's come in this late. That's one thing about doing this at this late hour, is that there aren't really that many people that are watching live streams on Facebook right now unless they're trying to fall asleep. which I'm happy to accommodate, but it makes it more difficult to keep the conversation going, and thus makes it more difficult to keep my eyes open. I drew that too close to the center of the face. Ah. When I draw North Koreans, it is very important to me that I draw them very, very skinny. Mostly because they're terribly malnourished because of their dictatorship. But, well, actually, that's entirely why. Yeah. One thing I didn't really do too much in the previous comic that I'm going to try to do more, or the previous coloring book that I'm going to try to do a little bit more in this one, is try to capture the North Korean um, over exaggerated facial expression, where it, everything, I don't know, you don't want to say that the North Koreans hate their government because you really don't know. Um, but you see the way that they act, and that's the thing. It's acting. that they get really excited about like something like anything, and take anything like we have food, praise the dear leader. Like they get really excited like that, um, and it's um, very fake in how they do that. And obviously they do it because they're afraid of not being enthusiastic enough to please the dear leader. So as a result, they become overly enthusiastic. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is that after years of conditioning, that's just how people react now. And you don't want to say that's not possible because we've seen what happens when we have an intelligence failure about what we should expect to see when we invade a country, Iraq. I'm not getting into politics here. I'm just mentioning that um, having that kind of bad intel can be without having like something verifiable, and there is nothing verifiable on North Korea, at least not that I've seen, and how they feel about their government. And there's speculation. There's a lot of speculation. There are a lot of media reports from people who've defected. But again, the people who defect are people who obviously don't feel welcome in their society anymore. And so, of course, they're going to say, um, just like Jalal Talabani said about the Iraqis ready for or having a government in waiting already as soon as we toppled Saddam Hussein. And we toppled Saddam Hussein, and where was the government in waiting? Oh, yeah, it didn't really exist. Small detail. I mean, you want to believe that people would want to topple a government like that, but it's just completely out of their ability. But at the same time, if they're not and they're actually that brainwashed, you know, uh, the if they're as brainwashed as they pretend like, or they may pretend like, if they're as brainwashed as we think that they're trying to look, um, we are in a lot of trouble if we ever try to go to war with North Korea, and they actually invade the country. Um, they may not be. In fact, I think they probably are not. But there's no way to verify that without getting in the country, and you can't get in the country to verify that one way or the other. So I think what we need to see there is a coup d'état where the military. The problem is, but this is a whole other issue. But you need the military, I think, to overthrow the Kim family. The problem, though, is that the military wants to go to war, and with the United States and Japan and South Korea and everyone. And the Kim family's actually been doing a pretty good job of getting them not to do that. I think a lot of when Kim Jong Un killed his uncle, supposedly killed his uncle. Again, we can't verify anything in North Korea, but most likely killed his uncle. Um, I think that was about sending a statement to the military that he was to be taken very seriously, and I think it worked. But again, you don't know, and unless you're in the country, and nobody is in the country. So, and those that are in the country are getting a very perverted view of what the country, is. And by perverted, I mean perverted by the fact that the North Koreans control that all the imagery and all the messaging and everything else. I have to admit, part of me would be curious to go. Um, but part of me, also known as most of me, is also a former intelligence analyst for the United States government, and I don't think I'd be very welcome there. And I've seen what they do to people who are there, who are not welcome in North Korea, and I don't want to be one of them. So, um, I am a lot bigger than I was when I was in the Air Force, and I am by no means physically fit enough to do the work they would have me do. So, um, just to avoid the labor camp, although I would probably lose weight, which would be which would be good, I guess, a blessing in disguise, maybe. But yeah, not quite how I want to do it. There are better ways to lose weight, and working on those first. Going to North Korea, I think, is the last resort for losing weight. Like an absolute, absolute last resort. Actually, I'm gonna draw this later because I'm gonna draw all the North Koreans who are like with their arms up in the air. But that takes more detail than my eyes can handle right now. Like I said, my eyes are ready to fall asleep. So hard. I have to draw the helmet still too. I'll finish this helmet up, I think, and then I'll kind of wrap up this episode. The other problem with going to North Korea too is, the country is cash strapped, and when you go to North Korea, you are bringing foreign currency into the country that they then use to, finance their weapons from, and finance their weapons and finance their um, the evil things that their regime is doing. And there's two ways of looking at it, and I understand both viewpoints. There's a way of looking at it that says what I just said, that by giving the North Koreans money, you are essentially complicit in their acts of in what their government is doing to their own people and internationally and everything else, and helping them develop nuclear weapons and paying for raw materials and everything else like that. You're giving them money to do exactly that because they're not using that money to feed their own people. Um, on the other hand, the other way of looking at it, and this is the way I think that I shouldn't say this. The other way of looking at this is that by having a cultural exchange of sorts, you are in fact encouraging North Korea to become more of an open country. And once a country like North Korea becomes more open, it's a lot harder to close it down. Um, the problem I think I have with that kind of logic is problem I have with that kind of logic is that it follows the line of logic that we tried using on China. That if China's becoming more capitalist, and therefore they're becoming more of an open society, and therefore they'll eventually become more democratic. Here we are now, you know, probably 20, 30 years into the China experiment, and it just hasn't panned out like we expected it to. Not that I want to get into politics here, but we're talking about North Korea and coloring a book with North Koreans in it, and I think it's a conversation worth having. And I don't think it's necessarily politics as much as it is just a open, friendly discussion about international affairs, not politics. I didn't mention a political party, although I didn't even mention the one political party in North Korea. Huh. I did mention a politician, though, and Kim Jong Un. I don't think you can really call what's happening in North Korea politics. Ah, this chart looks backwards. Shoot. I can fix this, though. See how that looks. Better. All right. That looks a lot better than what it was before. Be a little bit on the small side, but I think that'll be okay. I didn't mean to get too deep about North Korea there. It's just, something to think about. I make it seem like it's all fun and games, but really it's, for a lot of people, it's not. All right. Well, on that sour note, I think we're just about done for tonight. I can't really draw much else for 3 minutes left in the show, so. Well, folks, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed Pixel Art Live with me, Kevin Tracy, I would encourage you to check out ktracy.com, where you can see an archive of past episodes, including most of those that were on Facebook Live. This is just click on the blog link in there, and you'll see something called Pixel Art Live. Just click on that, and you'll see all the past episodes. Also, while you're there, check out the MSPaint Comic and all of my merch and gear, including some T-shirts and other really cool stuff, like coffee mugs and things like that, and not to mention the prints, of course. So check out all that cool stuff at ktracy.com, and let me know what you think of my pixel art. If you have any recommendations for how I could draw the things faster here, and a recommendation is not don't use paint. I understand that's probably not the best thing to use. But anyways, let me know if you have any tips or tricks that I could use to kind of speed things up here and maybe improve my art style a little bit. I'm always looking to learn, and I'm always looking to get feedback. So go ahead and leave a comment. I'll be keeping an eye on those as they come in. And thank you again for watching and for participating. And as always, please, please, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just click that subscribe button. I think it's down here someplace, I believe, on the desktop. I'm not sure. Maybe it's up there or down there or whichever way on your phone. But either way, subscribe to the channel, please, and you can never miss an episode of Pixel Art Live. I also have some new things coming up, like some woodworking videos and uh, maybe some gaming videos and stuff like that I'll be doing in the near future. So keep an eye out for the cool stuff that I'm doing. I promise that other stuff will be more entertaining than this is if you're looking for something that's just plain funny to watch. So anyways, like I said, give me a subscribe, hit that subscribe button and like the video. And check out ktracy.com for past episodes and merch and more stuff. So thank you again for watching. I do greatly appreciate your time and your encouragement and everything else that you guys do, because quite frankly, I couldn't make art if it wasn't for you guys. And I do appreciate you giving me the chance to do what I love. So have a great night and have a great week. And I will see you all next Monday from 7 to 11 Central Time on Pixel Art Live with Kevin Tracy. Thanks.